Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to yet another episode of Virtual Global Leadership Podcast, where we dive deep into the stories behind the strategies that drive today's innovators and market shakers. Today, we are thrilled to have a very special guest, a master of marketing and a wizard of public relations, Mr. Rahul Jain. With nearly 2 decades of experience, Rahul has been at the forefront of crafting compelling narratives and pioneering campaigns across a variety of sectors including fintech, wealth tech, crypto, NFTs, and blockchain. His innovative approaches have not only set trends but also defined entire industries. From launching the groundbreaking rural fintech to spice money to steer brand narratives through crisis and success, Rahul has done it all. Rahul is a recipient of multiple accolades, including the prestigious PR Week Asia 2016 and E4M 40 under 40 in 2019, proving his exceptional prowess in turning turbulent times into PR victories. Whether it's repositioning a major airline or empowering women with financial literacy, Rahul's work resonates with impact and inspiration. So tighten your seatbelts as we're about to embark on a journey through the ins and outs of innovative public relations and marketing with the one and only Rahul Jain. Let's find out how he makes magic happen and keeps pushing the boundaries of what's possible in PR and marketing. Rahul, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, Sagar. Thank you so much. Doing great. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm happy to share my learnings and my experience in my life.
Absolutely. Rahul, so first question I want to ask you, or rather, I would want to start this conversation with discussing future. We are living in a times where we have seen a lot in the last 4 to 5 years. Pandemic, now wars, and a lot of things are happening. So, what do you think? Where are we heading first when it comes to the future of work and future of public relations?
You rightly said, Sagar. I think last couple of years, especially since pandemic, has been kind of little tough one for all of us. And with the recent war coming up, we are heading for a kind of little more tough market environment, if I were to call it. Having said that, I think that's a standard style that happens every after few years. There is something like this would happen and disrupt the overall human ecosystem, which will realign a lot of us who being kind of in a free willy kind of a thing, bring it back to the normalcy, and then we look at life with a different perspective. What happened in post-COVID, if you really see it, people started realizing the importance of the whole piece of human values, human life, the work culture, and so on and so forth. So that is something is again going to happen, and it's happening rather right now as we speak. We'll continue to do so. And coming to your the future of work, I think the world has completely changed. During COVID, from then to now, nobody had thought of it that work from home will be a culture globally. But today, in COVID, when it happened, it became an absolutely normalcy, which everybody was doing it. But people are coming back to the normal. Working from offices is becoming a trend. People are missing out those relationships which they used to enjoy. Work from home environment, which used to be a kind of an important element, I think people are realizing that FOMO, missing out something in office is coming back. The future of work with technology coming in, with so much of new evolvement happening every day that you and I hear of. I remember first it was crypto, then NFTs, and suddenly there's a new wave of AI which is taking up in generative AI. Everybody is thinking that technology will completely vanish human values and human work. I don't think so that will ever happen. They will enable us more and more. They will make our life more easier, provided we use the technology in the right sense. If that doesn't happen,
Absolutely.
then we are heading for a disaster. And I think that's the reason every government, be it in India, be it in Europe, be it in US, everywhere, government is trying to create policies, regulatory frameworks to provide that kind of an environment where each of these new technologies could really emerge with the best of the possible solution for the human mankind. I think that is what is the future lies in.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rahul, for sharing a comprehensive perspective on future of work. And yeah, it's so much, it's so many things. In fact, people now talk about flexible ways of working or location independence. Like there's so many, other what do you call avenues where people are experiencing the future of work. And Rahul, where do you see the future of public relations? How is it evolved? And where do you see it's going? Like, what's next in the next 4 5 years?
It's, trust me, this is one space which is evolving every day. There's
Mhm.
so much to learn because the technology disruption coming on one side. Uh, that's one area. The second, because of the whole startup ecosystem that is emerging, and especially in countries like India, which is the third largest today in startup ecosystem globally, where every day you have a new technology and a new product being offered to our customers. With these
Mhm.
two things coming together, and with the kind of how do I say, the overall large corporate environment ecosystem is evolving and changing globally. If you see, that's what it is happening. The
Yeah.
large corporates, which is a Pareto analysis, if you were to call it, 20% of the large corporates actually control the 80% of the economies. Same is applying
Mhm.
here as well. In that
Yeah.
dynamic, with that startup ecosystem evolving, it that disruption has to happen. And with
Mhm.
that, the PR has to happen with a much more refined way of doing it. The future of PR. The future of PR is not just about getting us here and there few media clips or shout out for your brand. It's all about
Yeah.
building the narratives. Today, people love the brands which gets resonated with them, with an individual. Gone are the days when people would see an advertisement on a TV or a newspaper and go and buy a decision. Today, that's shifting to what you read and hear and watch, maybe as an influencer on your smartphones. What you're reading on an internet makes you to, kind of a decision making capabilities are changing that dynamically. And the
Yeah.
PR fits into that space, which is what will drive more and more. PR is not about just media clips. It's more about building narratives. It's more about telling your story, trying to solve those issues and challenges. PR will emerge as a more like a 360-degree integrated solution that the corporates and the companies and startups especially will start looking at this as a more solution oriented approach that can solve the company's challenges. That is what the PR will do.
Wow. Wow. Rahul, congratulations on completing 20 years in this professional domain. And with that, I would love to know more about SGA and the incredible work you're doing at SGA.
Thanks, yes, Sagar. I think SGA, is the largest investor relation firm as a group level. We service over 130 plus clients in the listed entities, managing their investor strategies, basically. And a couple of years back, SGA has a forward integration and the backward integration strategy that we decided to do it. A couple of years back, we started SGA PR with an intent. And when I joined in just a couple of quarters back, the idea was to make it SGPR as a new age communication consulting firm, which offers a 360-degree approach to any uh, objective that a client would have it. How do we go out and solve those issues? That is the whole intent that we started with. And the idea is today, from a new startup company, which is a seed level funded company, they need somebody to help them on their journey of making the brand being seen to the larger audience. From there, they wanted to get to, kind of a funding support and a backup which is required. From there on, they becoming an IPO and then becoming an IR. We're creating the entire value chain. Probably we are the only organization today in India who could offer the entire value chain support system to a newbie to the largest corporates. I think that's where we fit into the system which we are trying to solve. And our purpose and the mission of this SG as a brand is how can we be more client centricity in our approach, where we go out and build solutions with the client.
Yes. Yes.
That is what we've been doing at an SGA level, at a group level. And PR is one of such communication strategy tool that we use in developing those.
Absolutely, Rahul. That's so true. And I'm not sharing this because we enjoy the same space. I have seen the real impact happening, and I would like to share that. one of the startups that was being incubated. They happened to share the story in the right way, in an authentic way, and it came out on the right, like right set of newspaper, and the investors, they saw it and they flew from Chennai, and they came in, they had a meeting, and that happened because of this. And I'm just sharing with the viewers that yes, with the right thing, of course, it was authentic. Everything was, the information was there, intentional and authentic. But yeah, this when you said this is something that came to my mind.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. So, Rahul, like with the of course with the rise of AI and several digital platforms, where do you see startups at the moment? Because see, they're at the early stage, uh, and at the moment they might not have that much, let's say, money in their bank account to build on this. So, what kind of support you as an organization offer to them, and how does it work?
So, hey, interesting. Good what you asked this question. Uh, we were probably the first one in India and probably globally first. We were the first one to launch something called Cohort Startup Program with an angel network called FAD. This was precisely a year back. The idea was to
Okay.
support such kind of startups who are early in their journey. And this program was co-created like you have today Ola and Uber, where you do take the shared services, shared program model. Something similar we had actually launched with FAD in absolutely an year back. And that has become a success model where we club in companies which are of a similar nature of together. We develop strategies with these founders together. In this learning, what happens, the founders are able to exchange their ideas and notes with another founder as well, other than us. And that creates a kind of a positive rub-off effect on the learning aspect of other founder, not just from a marketing or a PR point of view, but from a business point of view. I think that has seen a great success. And like I said, this is a India first and probably a global first such initiative that has happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Any advice or suggestions to startup founders who might hesitate, who might feel okay, there will be a lot of money that I will have to put or something like that? I'm sure there are some things which I would say founders may not openly share, but I'm sure as the lead- as in the leadership position, it is slightly easier for you to make out okay, maybe this is unnecessary. So any inputs or advice you would like to share with them?
No, I simply tell to all my partners and everybody, don't consider PR as your liability side. Consider PR as your asset on your balance sheet. I
Yes.
think that is the most important. Instead of considering as an expenditure, consider this as an investment that you're doing for your brand, which will lead you into results, into your kind of a overall growth potential that you're looking in the business. PR helps you to nurture that area. Like I said, PR is not just about getting some few coverages
Yeah.
here and there. It's all about telling your story. Every individual has a story. I have a story, Sagar, you have a story. How do we tell our story? We use LinkedIn as a platform to tell our story many a times. People use Instagram to tell their stories. But how do a corporate needs to tell their story? It's not a human, but yet can a company or a startup behave like a human being and tell the persona of the story of that of a company? Is what the PR can do that. And then see the magic happening to a brand which does that. And we've seen many such successful examples where early startups have really enjoyed the journey that has lead to them to really creating a value not just for them but for the entire stakeholder community that they participate.
Absolutely. So, Rahul, what drew you to the world of marketing and PR? It would be great to get an insight there.
Sorry, come back, Sagar, again.
So, what drew you into this field of public
Okay.
relations and marketing? It's been 20 years. It would be great to give a gist of your, let's say, first 5-10 years of your life, and now, of course, the present moment and moving forward.
Okay. Should I tell you one interesting story here?
Of course, we are storytellers, Rahul. Please go ahead.
So, if you really ask me, this is at precisely almost, yeah, close to around 18, 19 years ago, somebody, one of the senior mentor at that point of time, he had recommended that, before you jump into the corporate world doing a marketing and branding and all that, you should go and work with a PR agency.
Hmm. Hmm.
And you know what my response to that gentleman was? I actually told him that in my life, I would never work as any agency, whether it is an advertising or a PR, because I had a different impression about that. And especially PR, I will never work. And cut
Hmm.
to after 10 years, I was with the largest PR consulting firm in India,
Yes.
leading the largest portfolio, working with over 100 plus clients, building strategies for them. And here I'm sitting. So that is how I entered into the PR world, you know,
Wow.
moving away from just a plain vanilla marketing to a strategic PR. That's how I evolved into this space. And this I always remember in that particular moment when I responded to the gentleman. He said, "Okay, let's see what happens to your career." And here I am today.
Wonderful, wonderful. Rahul, you reminded me of when I pursued my I pursued my masters in advertising and communication, by the way, and my access to the world of PR happened. Uh, I don't remember the name of the professor, but she was so busy. She used to work with low lentas, and she was so busy that our batch, she asked her to come to the office, and she used to book a conference room on a Sunday morning. On a Saturday morning, we used to go and attend and take up the PR session. So that was my, let's say, access to the understanding of PR, and I've always been fond of it. And I think that is, let's say, one very common area of how we have also connected. Thank you, Rahul, for sharing your story and making me remind my story. So, Rahul, what do you think is very very important? Be it startup founders, be it even corporate leaders, or and existing stakeholders that you work with. What are some of the, let's say, insights that you may not necessarily share with them when you meet them? I'm just sharing this. I'm sure you would be open to them. But if there is something, some blind spots you would like to share with them, feel free to use this platform and go ahead.
No, I think Touchwood, my partnership with all our clients has been very transparent. I always tell them we are more like a doctors. So unless
Hmm.
we know your problem, we'll not be able to diagnose it. If we are not able
Correct.
to diagnose it, we can't really correct the situation. So we
Correct.
go to a level where we really get that friendly open with our partners who tell their all the pains basically, whatever that they are going through that, or there could be their aspirations that they are really aspiring to achieve that. And then the real ideation and the thinking and the strategy happens. So in this kind of a partnership that we are in, and especially the business that we are in, it is more about the trust that the other person has to have it. And thankfully, touchwood, in last 11 years of my consulting career, I've always had a fortunate enough clients who would really trust and would believe us, and then would open up their heart saying, okay, this is what my problem is, or this is what I wanted to achieve. And we've been able to solve all their issues and challenges to the maximum possible extent. So thankful to all the partners that have been part of this journey that we've been. Most importantly, today, I think because our role largely engage with the CXO level leadership team. So
Yeah.
once they really say it, then we have to really build the ideas around it and try and find a ways to deliver those what they're actually looking for it. So that we've been able to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So now I have two questions here. One question is slightly generic, and one is very, very related to the domain. Uh, Generic because the world is going through trust deficit, and that's a fact. You know. So, on a brighter context, feel free to link it to link it to the domain as well. But then trust creation, as you rightly said, the approach is you being a doctor, you being a consultant, and rather doctor, I would say, and patient has to tell the truth, and sometimes patient hesitate, they do not. So what are some of the methods that you would suggest to bridge the trust deficit? Feel free to share your thoughts there.
I think many a times you have to probe and you have to
Hmm.
do not ask or straight away go and ask the business piece of it. Sometimes you have to showcase your capabilities, what is required, what you have delivered. Many a times we've delivered some really tough projects which one would have not believed that it could really go out and happen.
Hmm.
Showcasing some of those things could really soften those guys, making them understand that we understand the space in the category. Showcasing of that really makes them comfort to open their ideas. Say an example of fintech, like we spoke about. Having worked with so many fintechs in that category, really comfort them that these people really understand by as expert in that domain. So what how we specialize in is having a specialist in the domain who goes and sit across with the client, make them understand that okay, this is what our knowledge base is, and this is what. And many a times before we go to a client, we do our own research. By the way, we get into a
Hmm.
primary research many a times, going and talking to the different stakeholders, saying what is their view on a particular brand before.
Hmm.
And when we talk about that, this is an opinion that the market is perceiving about you, and for sure that will not be different than what he would have already heard about it. That's when he gets the confidence that these guys understand the market situation, and then they start opening it up. That's the second way. And like I said, more important is indirect way of asking questions can really open up to get many times clients themselves do not know what the problem is. When you really get into a conversation of say 30-minute, 40-minute conversations on a different topics which is associated within the industry that they are, they try to open up with some ideas and thoughts going on. And then as a storyteller, it's our job to stitch together that and make a problem what is that statement is all about, and then
Hmm.
build a solution around it. That's what we do.
Thank you, Rahul, for sharing that. And without naming anyone, but I'm sure in these years you would have had a situation where there are CXOs who are sitting and they want to just make it that their way. They want to just make it happen their way. So how do you approach that, and how do you find a middle ground or a solution so that the right thing is done?
That's a tough one you've asked me, and very personal one too.
I'm not going to leave you, Rahul. I'm not going to leave you.
Mm, no, this happens. I think in
Yes.
every profession, you have every profession, every industry, you have unrealistic demands coming from. You've seen in
Yes.
airline industry so often, which
Yeah.
is a complete customer-oriented industry. You've seen how passengers, ruthlessly behaving with the crew and everything, and what happens. So in our industries also, that happens many times. Uh,
Yeah.
but that's where the consulting piece comes into the picture. Your
Mhm.
experience, making them understand that why that can't be done, and what is the best possible way, what is the best alternative solution to that. That is more important. Like when you go
Yes.
to buying a medicine to a chemist shop, the chemist guy says that this medicine he doesn't have that particular medicine. What he does is he offers you second and a third and the fourth one. He makes you to call up to your doctor back and say, "Hey, I don't have a medicine A, but B and C is available. Can I borrow one of those?" It's the
Hmm.
similar we take care of it. That if not
Wow.
A, there is a B and C which is available, which is equivalent or a substitute to your medicine A, and would probably give you the same results or better results out of it, and could probably be also be cost effective. Many times that really helps the client to do it, and there has been such instances. I'll not name one particular client who
Of course.
wanted
Of
to
course.
do a product launch, spending over a crore just doing a one large event in Mumbai,
Yeah.
and they were willing. And we knew that the ROI from that will only be that 60 people in one ballroom and enjoying and having good drinks and all that. But not sure of about what will be the ROI for a new product launch in terms of the customer, becoming a final customer basically.
Mhm.
Cut to that situation when spoke to the founder, made them understood that what it takes to do this versus if you were to do a roadshow in 7 cities which are your key market geography basis upon what the product is all about. It will be
Mhm.
delivered at a one-tenth of your cost, and you will have a 10 times higher ROI returns as compared to the previous one. And we actually did that campaign exactly for almost like 90 days, 10 city roadshows with different areas of element into it. And the success was that the product was got superb response from the market. And it was, by the way, a wealth tech fintech platform who was raising funds in the market through these products. So they got a super phenomenal response after that. And so classical example that how we offered in other solutions as compared to what was the first. So yeah, that's how it goes.
Thank you. Thank you, Rahul, for sharing that. So, how does your core philosophy of focusing on revenue and growth influence your approach to new business ventures?
Our philosophy is simple here. That is what we do it. We are an invested partner in our client's business. So what I mean
Mhm.
by an invested partner, you because I come from that startup ecosystem where everybody talks about an investment. So we say that we invest our time, energy, thinking in your business. You may
Mhm.
be small today as a partner, but we wish to grow with you as your business grows. So
Yeah.
not that we only do with the startup, but with the mid-size and the large corporate that we serve that portfolio. There also we have a very similar kind of an approach as an invested partner in your business. So
Yeah.
that's the core philosophy that every individual within our organization works around it, which is nothing but client centricity is the whole intent. So everything
Yes.
we look at it from a client centricity point of view, and then we go out and provide the
Correct.
solutions and or the consulting area, whatever it requires.
Yeah. 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 And client centricity is the only option available. Sometimes I feel, because how do
Yeah,
you
yeah.
then? And I think I was listening to one of the podcasts where I think I think it was Steve Jobs. I think he said that I'm not sharing the exact phrase, but he said that everything begins with the experience. And
Yes.
that is where even now I have started thinking in the last few years that, hey, before I come to a product, I need to plan how this is going to impact, uh, and the experience the customer would get out of it. So uh, what is in your journey in the last 20 years, uh, what kind of different customers that you have, let's say, worked with in terms of the client list, and what are some of the biggest learnings that you learned from them?
So two important things. So I've worked with, or as an organization, we work with across verticals,
Yes, yes.
be it large corporates, mid-size, startups, and startup also. There are all the newish technology which is there, right from from fintech, education tech to AI, which is the latest animal that we have from a tech point of view, or a deep tech for that matter. Work with all of them. One core element that I find in the entire learning experience of mine is first and foremost is there is always inside out approach rather than outside in approach that we adopt.
Mhm.
That's one understanding, which means inside out when I talk about it, that as a firm, as an individual, as a team, uh, we have to be fully prepared what we can deliver to our clients, what is expected out of it. And that is how the SGA has been built over years, starting from an IR, then leading into a brand and design, leading into an annual reporting, leading into a PR. It's an inside out approach that we made sure that our house is in order before we really go out to the market. That's
Correct.
one. Similar philosophy also applicable in each individual business vertical that we are in. So, an example as GPR. Now, every individual is being aligned and understood before they really reach out to a client or to a media or to any ecosystem stakeholders. They need to understand their level of understanding has to be very deep in terms of value delivering to our clients. So, that's one philosophy and approach that we take it. The second is whenever there is a new client who comes on board, like you said, when a client, every individual client has a style of, in our industry, somehow there is not, standardization that could happen so far. But somewhere we have created there's something called 100-day program, wherein we have designed 10 steps modeling, wherein every team for every client have to follow those 10-step modeling for 100 days. When we do that,
Hmm.
there is a certain kind of a process being evolved, which makes sure that the individual and as well as on the client side have a kind of a great relationship bonding happen within those 100 days. And then the journey becomes much more smoother on the either side of it. And that has given us a great success in my own career that in last so many years, I think we've followed that consciously, and that has really delivered a great value to on both the sides of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Rahul, and thank you for highlighting that. The reason I'm sharing this with you, I'm sure you're mentoring a lot of startups, and this is something which they really, really struggle, or it's a reality that systems and processes are, for some reason, not in place. for new startups at least, or for that matter, let's say startup in their 1 to 10 stage. That is a very very big challenge that even I have seen. So thank you for sharing that. And if any startup founder is listening, again, it's a very humble request that systems and processes, whatever work is happening, you have to keep in, you have to you have to prioritize that. Now here I just want to ask a very important question. What are some of the common, let's say, mistakes, and I would not say intentional, it could be unintentional, that you see, uh, you know uh, companies, not exactly similar to yours, but I'm just saying in the PR domain, they are making.
Hmm. I think much of the industry is running after with one approach solution to many of the similar clients. Uh, what I mean to say that is the standardized product, take it to the 20 different industry and the 20 different clients. No,
Hmm.
our industry requires a very bespoke solution because every problem, every individual has a different problem, has a different aspirations, has a different business goals around it. A startup which is a 2 year old versus a more matured business which is a 8 year versus a somebody which is a 20-year-old business, you can't take the same standardized product and say, okay, this is what we will deliver for you. Much of the problem is happening in that space. Point one. Two, understanding of the entire new digital world that is happening. Uh, all of Much of the countries are struggling to understand that. And three, most importantly, while people understand the tools, but the space that we are in, which is nothing but PR, is all about psychology, understanding the your client and client's client. Who are they? Whether it is
Hmm.
B2C, B2B, B2G, that understanding is required. So, which means somebody as a marketeer sitting on this side, which is us in this case, am I able to understand client customer better or not? If I've been able to do it, then I can deliver a better solution to my client. If not, then probably I will always be shooting in the dark. And that is what it happens. And that is why you see much of the clients many a times move from one organization to another to a third consulting agency because for looking for that solution. Now,
Uh,
if whoever is able to provide that solution to them, probably they will stick around it. Not that just one time. That solution approach has to keep changing even for that client by that particular agency. Now, there are many clients that we serve for many years now. Why we've been able to retain them or sustain them? Because you're able to keep evolving your ideas with the new environment that they are evolving in. That is what is needed.
Interesting, interesting. Thank you, Rahul, for sharing that. And I think that's the right thing to do. It's not what I want to do or what the other person wants to do. It's the right thing to do. And I think that philosophy needs to be, I would not say replicated, but that philosophy needs to evolve in various sectors. And in fact, Rahul, any industry, any work that, if you're finding a new market or if you're reaching out to a new set of if it's solving a new set of problems, I think this approach is so important. Because sometimes, I'm sure you would definitely have a comment on this, is that what I do not like is that just following the checklist.
Yes,
Be it in the campaign, they're just ticking mark the checklist. Being an HR, let's say, department, I mean, what I'm personally, against, I'm just sharing this, is that they do a, so I'm a strong believer of really creating an authentic workspace culture. And I've been doing this directly or indirectly. When I speak to some of the HR leaders, I just feel that they're just following the checklist. This is the employee engagement activity you have to do. This is we have to do. So when you say this, it automatically opened up that, what, this needs to happen everywhere. So yeah, thank you, Rahul,
absolutely.
for sharing that. Please, if you have something that come up, please share that.
No, I think you've explained it very well, Sagar. I think it's the customization is what is the need of the hour, which all of us in our personal life we are looking for.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
why can't that be delivered when you are delivering to your customer?
Yeah.
So it's not just your external customers, your internal. You rightly said your employees is the talent who will actually deliver. So you have to make sure that you do something special, something extraordinary for these guys also. Every individual has a different learning curve. How do you align? You can't have a standard training program for everybody.
Absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
so those
So
customization is required, and that will make the difference to the new future of the work. Is what the question you asked me in the beginning. That
yes,
is what will change the corporate world environment.
absolutely. Thank you, Rahul, for sharing that. Uh, you have managed to steer brands through crisis effectively. So can you share a key piece of advice on crisis communication for businesses?
Okay, a lot of varied experience on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I've come across brands where who've shied away in communicating in crisis. There are brands who does that. To a brand who tried to communicate but half-baked communication, what they wanted to really showcase. That's another. Then there are third set of level of brands which are transparent in their in the overall communication. I think the third one is the right one. In the crisis,
Hmm.
people believe that if I speak more or if I say the truth, it will backfire. Not really. Trust me. We've seen global case studies around it in the crisis happening. There are global brands who have communicated and who have not communicated what happened to that brand eventually. I think crisis is such scenario like that. The more transparent
Hmm.
you are with your stakeholders, whether it is your employees, whether it is your partners, whether it is your shareholders, whether it is your society at large, which is there. If
Hmm.
you transparently talk about the problems that has happened, and like as a human being, you make mistakes, right? And
Yeah,
once you
yeah.
understand it, society and people and everybody forgives you and they accept you. Similarly, in the crisis, if brands accept and understand that, if they do it, I'm sure each of their stakeholders would also understand that it's a business after all. There can
Yeah,
be some issues and challenges and mistakes could happen. But the right way of form of communication, if you do deliver to them, I think they will forgive you and they will always accept you and they will be your loyal partners in that journey. I think that is what the messaging is important to them. And in some cases, we have delivered that and we've come out successfully. And in some, the clients not being able to do it, we've known what has happened to those brands eventually.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Rahul, for sharing that. So Rahul, you have been doing a lot of work. You're in the leadership team, being the key decision maker. So how do you manage your work life balance? Because that is also something that people do talk about when we say future of work.
I firmly believe till the time you enjoy your work now, you are
Hmm.
not really stressed about your looking for a work-life balance.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, you know, my simple mantra for a work-life balance, if I tell you, I do a 1 hour meditation in the morning, and that's
Yes.
make up my day. If I do it, I think how much ever work comes on my way, I enjoy doing it more. Like, would you really ask Sachin or a Dhoni that can you do your
Hmm.
work life balance? Can you
Hmm.
tell them that okay, on a pitch, just play for 3 hours and then go and take a rest? No, can't you,
Hmm.
you really can't tell them basically. So it's the
Yeah.
similarly, they enjoy that sports, we enjoy our business. So I am my humble submission to each of these individuals who are actually looking for a work life balance. Start enjoying your work. you will
Yeah.
you will you will you will automatically find that work life balance. You don't mind sitting in office late hours, or many a times just when you don't have work, take a leave, enjoy, have fun, come back and do that. So that's how you have to manage. Otherwise, in the world dynamic that we are in, trust me,
Yeah.
it will be more and more. If you go by the prescribed definition of a work-life balance from a
Hmm.
internet or from a books, you will always find it difficult. You will always find that I'm missing something in my life. I'm not but I follow that sportsmanship. Just enjoy that play as much as you can. If you can be on the ground for 10 hours, just keep playing it. Who's stopping you to not play for another 11th or a 12th hour? My son
Yeah.
does that, by the way. So when
Okay.
he does that, I actually admire it. He's enjoying. He's not tired. After waking up 6 in the morning, he goes, play, come back. In the afternoon, he's doing some masti, and in the evening, again, he's out on the field and he's enjoying. So
Yeah.
when he's not tired, he's also doing his job. He's learning something. When he's not tired, why should I be cribbing about a work-life balance of 6 to 9 or nine to
Yeah.
six?
Yeah.
That's my way of looking at work-life balance.
Yes. Yes. The reason why I asked you, Rahul, this question is, see, I mean, it's wonderful to first of all learn, and I would also like to highlight with the viewers that meditating 1 hour or uh, spending time in self awareness is really important. So, Rahul, what I learned here from you is that there is a process by which you plan your day, and secondly, uh, you have a, let's say, uh, I would not say just clarity. Beyond that, let's say an ikigai, ikigai framework has evolved because you enjoy your work. But there are leaders, I'm sure you could be in your in your professional network, who might, and for some reason they're not able to manage that, and because of that, it impacts their personal side of things, be it their family, friends, and they could be in a situation where they have no choice, they have to continue this way. So with your wisdom, it would be wonderful to know uh, what would be the best way they can plan their, I wouldn't say now work life balance, but work life integration.
Okay, so I think mm, that was my experience that I shared, and
Of
not that
course,
I
of
mean
course,
that people
of
should
course,
not have a work-life balance. That is not the
of course,
message.
Rahul.
It is important and must for everybody. Uh, Simple. I think like I said, transparency is the fundamental thing.
Yes.
So in an office environment, what happens is two people working together, if they are transparent and open enough to each other, solves some of the problems. Point one. Point two, at an individual level, can I decode my own work-life balance definition? Is how I call it. That's two.
Yeah.
Third, many a times, every individual do have their challenges in the personal life or in a professional life, and many a time you keep thinking about it. And this is what I've learned from Vipassana, which I follow now for last couple of years. That has changed my way of looking life completely different. So
Yes.
my request to each individual who are looking for work-life balance, start pen down your problem statement. You will see that when it is within your mind, you're getting hundreds of way of direction into it, and you're
Yes.
confused and you are more stressed around it. But the time you start penning it down and try to understand what if it doesn't happen, if you come to that area, you probably your problem will reduced or will have a smaller in size as compared to as you were looking at it, because it's all about your brain perception who perceive that problem like that. Now that's the
Yes.
third way of looking at it. The fourth way is work with your senior colleagues to say that okay, uh, there have been imbalance in that situation, and I'm sure today every individual senior professionals respect that work life balance. If one is transparent and open enough to talk about it, I think those can be managed quite well.
Yeah. Thank you, Rahul, for sharing that. Uh, so, how do you stay updated and continue to evolve in your field?
I think most important, by virtue of the field that we are in, we are meeting and talking to so many people day in day out. That gives you
Hmm.
plethora of information. Point one. Two, you're reading and consuming so much of content which is relevant to your business, that
Hmm.
keeps you updated about it. Three, because you're eventually we are a creative mindset,
Hmm.
or a narrative mindset who has to keep doing that. So the more creating an extrapolation from one situation to another situation
Hmm.
and kind of creating that makes us to be updated what's happening. And fourth is definitely as much as you can attend some of these interesting conversations, videos, and the content consumption that happens in them. And definitely training is an important element, but should not be a training for the sake of it. These has to be an understandable training which is required for one individual to do it. Let's example, I have somebody in my team whose job is to do a growth strategy. That person is no point that person going and attending a creative training. That person
Hmm.
has to be trained around what are the methods of growth hacking, what is the way of strategy hacking. Now that's how you make it so simplified for myself, and that's what I do simply.
Interesting. Interesting. Uh, So, what future projects or ambitions or ambitious projects you are excited about?
So there are multiple projects that we're doing, Sagar. Right from launching a new asset class in India, which I've always enjoyed. I've done a lot of new asset class launches, financial product launches in India, whether it was a peer-to-peer lending or a US investing, fraction US investing. These are all new phenomena. Couple of years back in India, started beginning building blocks. In this similar space today, I was talking to a project where somebody is coming out with a kind of for a kids curiosity is more important, so they're bringing a product platform which is more about that any curious question that a kid would have it in his mind, that why zebra has vertical lines around it, any such a kind of questions being asked, that platform should be able to answer that curiosity. So we are calling it curiosity of Google basically. Now that is something, a project that we intend to do it. That's one. Second, more and more capital market work is where we intend to do it. As we've seen the kind of startups and the kind of matured startup is becoming more and more traditional businesses intend to go a capital market. So that's another area of leg that we want to do much and much work. We've been doing a lot of SME IPOs, by the way. So now is the case of larger corporate IPOs is where we are gunning for eventually in the time to come.
Interesting, interesting. Thank you, Rahul, for sharing your perspectives on the future of work, future of public relations. And I think when you say, it is sometimes I wonder the biggest of the biggest challenges, the answers lies in common sense. And I think I would also like to remind myself, along with the viewers, that being authentic, being transparent is the most commonsensical thing to do, which unfortunately is somewhere it gets vanished in the scheme of various activities that we do. So thank you, Rahul, for reinforcing that. And it's wonderful to know the principles that you live by, the principles that SGA grows. So it's wonderful to know that. Before we end this conversation, it would be great to have your closing comments, and if the viewers, if they would like to connect with you, how do they reach out?
Okay, so they can reach out through LinkedIn or maybe on my email ID, which is rahul.jain@sgapl.net. I've answered that. The closing remark, I think, Sagar, you've been doing some great dialogues with so many leaders and everybody coming and sharing their expertise. I think I've just shared my experience, my learning curve that has been evolved over 20 years. And I still feel that I've achieved not even 10% of learning curve. So there's a lot to learn. So that curiosity, which as a kid I would have it, can I continue to have that curiosity even after 20 years of experience or after 40 years of experience will make the difference to all of us. And in the field that we are in, especially the PR, the marketing, the comms, we have to be as curious as we can be. The curiosity to
Hmm.
know about what's happening within the industry, curiosity to know what's happening within the client space, curiosity to know what is happening in the economic environment, curiosity to know what is happening in the world dynamic environment, curiosity to know what is happening in the human behavior environment, curiosity to know what is happening in technology. I think that is all sum up. So
Yeah.
that curiosity word is so important. So I think for being a successful leader in any domain that one need to be, I think if each individual, irrespective of what designation that you and I are,
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
the sheer difference is the curiosity and learning curve of that makes the people to go on the ladder. I think that is what my submission to you, Sagar, is.
Thank you, Rahul, for beautifully summarizing. I think this is one of the best closing comments that I have heard, and I'm sharing. You really summarized it beautifully, and I think you kept curiosity at the center, and I think that is why also I enjoy doing this podcast, and I think I shared this with you, and I will also share this with the viewers, that I found podcasting to be the best source of peer to peer learning, and I can't even imagine the views. It has helped me develop my views in so many levels. And Rahul, I'm sure you would also recognize that. with this conversation, if something new is coming up, if there is a discussion around PR, Rahul, so imagine the value that you have created for me. I have so much now more. So thank you for that. And thank you, viewers, for joining yet again for this podcast. It's because of your feedback, your inputs, your suggestions. I am, building this, and this journey is incomplete without you. And I promise that I'll be back with one more interesting leader in this from this world and share their perspectives, their journey, and yeah, looking forward to the next one. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, viewers, for joining.
Thank you, Sagar. Thank you so much, and wish you all the very best for the next one.